Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way being recorded. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass, live and in living color here with you on Grande's Gridiron. Yes, Grande's Gridiron episode number 2. We're here, we are live, and we are ready to pick some NFL games. It was a wild week 1 in the NFL, as it is every single goddamn year. And as for my picks last week, I did pretty good. Not including the spread, I went 11-6. Including the spread, I went 7-6. So it's a lot easier to pick without the spread and being involved, but I mean, it is what it is. I didn't pick every game with the spread. There were some games where I said never touch a spread here. Over-unders, I did great. I hit the under in the Titans-Saints game, hit the unders in the Denver and the Vegas game. I hit the fucking under in the Chargers-Dolphins. I'm sorry, the over. I hit the over in the Chargers-Dolphins game. So over-unders, I did really good last week. I don't think there was one wrong over-under if memory serves. Granted, there might have been. You can go back and check me. But, yeah, as far as my straight-up picks, 11-6. So generally that gets you into the playoffs. So I think I did a good job. And we will dive headfirst right into week 2. Won't keep you guys in any suspense. I'm sorry, I have like a burp that needs to come out. But all right, here we go. Week 2 kicks off of the NFL this Thursday night as the Minnesota Vikings travel to Philadelphia to face the Eagles in their home opener. Of course, the Eagles 7.5-point favorites here. The over-under 48.5. Vikings huge underdogs on the road, plus 277. Eagles minus 345, 354 home favorites as of the recording of this video. That's wild. I do think the Eagles get the straight up win. I mean, last year these two teams played, I think, the same week. I think they played on a Monday night in week 2, and the Eagles just absolutely decimated Kirk Cousins. I mean, made Kirk Cousins look like he was a practice squad type quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is better than that. I know a lot of people give Kirk Cousins shit, but I don't think Kirk Cousins is as bad as everybody says. However, this is a very interesting matchup. I could see the Vikings easily covering the 7.5, so here's where I would never take a spread. I could see Eagles winning by 7 and you lose by half a point. So I wouldn't touch the spread in this game. I really wouldn't, but I do think the Eagles win straight up. So Eagles money line, which it looks like a lot of people would agree with that. I mean, right now it looks like almost like a trap if it's minus 354 for the betting odds. So I don't know if I'd go anywhere near that game, but I do think the Eagles will get the win. They got an ugly win in New England. I was praising them, saying they would blow the Patriots out of the water, and it started that way. They were up 16-0 in the first quarter, and it looked like they were about to have a day, and then of course they just got sloppy, they got lazy, and their coach almost blew it late. I mean, Nick Sirianni, I thought did a good job coaching last year, but he almost tried to give that game away at the end where he didn't punt. Instead, they had him go for it on 4th and 2, and Hurts just threw an incomplete pass, and they almost ended up losing the game. I won a nice parlay. I won a $190 parlay because the Eagles hung on in that game, but it was a little too close for comfort. And if the Patriots can cover, 5? I think they only lost by 5. Granted, I think they were getting 4.5. So if you picked the Eagles and gave the 4.5, you still covered by half a point. I don't think the Vikings, it's necessary to say that the Vikings can't cover the 7.5. I actually do think the Vikings will lose by probably 7, but I would take the Eagles straight up. I would never touch the spread. So my pick is just the Eagles straight up. Next game, this is Sunday. Of course, the Packers will go to Atlanta to face the Falcons. Okay, so two teams that started their weeks off 1-0. The Packers coming in as road favorites, minus 1 point road favorites. And the money line's about even right now. Packers getting minus 115, Falcons getting minus 105. The over-under 41.5. The Falcons really didn't show me that much, even though they had a nice win week 1. I think they could have used Bijan Robinson a little more. I don't really understand why Tyler Algier was in the game in the fourth quarter. I feel like Bijan should be their guy from beginning to end, but maybe they're going to go do this whole thing like a back by committee, like divvy up some of the carries. Packers came out and shocked me. I thought the Packers were one of the shockers of the week. I thought they were going to absolutely get their asses kicked in Chicago, and instead they kicked the Bears' ass, and they showed me a lot. They opened my eyes, and quite impressed me. I thought Jordan Love played great. I thought Dobbs played great. I think their defense played great. I mean, overall, it was a very impressive win for the Green Bay Packers, and I actually think they get this road W here. And hell, I would even give the 1 point. I would totally say Packers minus 1. I have no problem. It's basically a pick 'em. I mean, the only way you fucking lose that is literally as if they tie. You know, like at worst, it's a push if the Packers win by only a point. But I would totally take the Packers, give the fucking point. As far as the over-under 41.5, I don't know. I think I'd take the over. I definitely think the over hits there. So I would say Packers minus 1, and I would say over 41.5. I think the Packers get the job done on the road. I still don't think the Falcons are ready, but playing a weak division rival rebuilding like the Panthers last week, I just knew the Falcons had to roll them. So I definitely would go with the Packers starting 2-0, which is something I never thought I would be saying right here, but here I am saying it. Being unbiased, I know. Raiders at the Bills is the next matchup. The Bills home opener, -10, over under 47.5. Raiders plus 349. Bills minus 453 home favorites in the money line. Holy shit, they really want you to take Buffalo here. Buffalo will absolutely win this game because they've just played so horrendously in the second half last night on Monday Night Football and the whole game with the Jets. And we'll get to the Jets because that was a story and a half of the week. That Monday night game was absolutely wild. It was either that Monday night game or the Chargers-Dolphins was game of the week for me. I just thought both those games were fantastic start to finish. And the Bills, I definitely think will win this game at home. They have to rebound. They have to bounce back. I will say, man, I will say this too. I think they're really poorly coached. Like from what I watched last night, I just think that second half, they played so poorly for a team that has that much talent. I think they're just poorly coached. I really believe that. And Josh Allen made some careless decisions, man. He threw 3 interceptions to the same guy. He had one fumble where he just tried to run one of the Jets defensive players over, got tackled. He tried to run into the guy. The guy's as big as a fucking refrigerator. What the fuck are you doing, my guy? You think you're going to truck that guy? I know you're Josh Allen. I know you're bad. I know you bang Haley Steinfeld. But, buddy, that guy is a fucking monster. That's a human fucking refrigerator. And you try to run into him like he was a fucking kid on a fucking playground. It don't work that way. And, man, I can't stand fucking Sean McDermott. Let's have Cook be our first and second down back. He's running straight downhill. Yeah, he had a good game. There's no doubt about it. He had a good game. I'm sure there'll be a Buffalo, but oh, fuck you. He had a good game. Yeah, he did have a good game. But you also have Damian Harris on the sideline, who is literally a even better down the field rusher. Why is he not your first and second down guy? And then Cook is your third down pass catcher. Yeah, Damian Harris catching passes in the flat. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Damian Harris is not a pass catching back, man. It's just unbelievable some of the shit Buffalo did last night. I mean, one of the worst second halves I saw the whole weekend. Just horrible, man. Like, you have too much talent and too much hype and too much of the fucking people blowing smoke up their asses like their fucking shit doesn't stink. You know what? God damn it, go out there and beat the Raiders by more than 10. I'm challenging you to do it. Go fucking blow the doors off their asses. Right now, I don't have any fucking faith to give the Raiders 10 points. That's how fucking little I think of how the Bills coached that game in the second half. I think the Bills win. I think the money line hits. I think the over hits as well, 47.5. I take the over again. I wouldn't touch that spread at all. I don't trust Buffalo right now. I think you fucking played like a bunch of fucking assholes on Monday night. I really do, especially the second half where you just fucking handed the game away. So Buffalo, you have a lot to prove this week. I think you win, but I ain't touching that fucking spread. Fuck you. Ravens at the Bengals next. Bengals -3, 45.5 is the over-under. Ravens plus 137. Bengals minus 162. Of course, both these teams, tale of two cities. Ravens, of course, in their home opener, they trucked the Texans, as I predicted they would. I said I'd give 14 points. They won by, I think, 16 points. So barely, but, I mean, it is what it is. The Ravens hung on. Ravens blew them out. As far as the Bengals got blown out 21 fucking points in Cleveland, and I also predicted that the Browns would steamroll them. So I was right about both these teams week one. It would be amazing if the Ravens go in there and start 2-0 and the Bengals start 0-2 for a second straight year. And I could really see it happening. Now, of course, the Ravens did lose J.K. Dobbins to a season-ending injury, so that sucks. I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins. I think he's a great talent. He's just 3 major injuries in 3 years. I mean, it's just not looking good for his career. It's really a shame. And as far as Joe Shiesty, he got his big fucking money contract, and he threw for, like, nothing and did nothing, and fucking Jamar Chase was pissed about it, and T. Higgins didn't have a catch. So I don't know. I mean, right now, I don't see how you could pick against the fucking Ravens, man. The Ravens really, definitely should win this game. And I know Lamar didn't play great. I mean, especially in fantasy wise. I went up against Lamar. I think he had like 5.5 points. Lamar definitely did not have a good day in fantasy. He didn't score a touchdown on the ground or through the air. So that's something to note. And the Bengals defense could only stop for so long. And they had a really shitty run defense. I mean, Chubb ran all over the fucking field on them. So I don't know. And so did Deshaun. So I actually think the Ravens win this game. As far as the -3, I would not touch that in a division game here. Over under 45.5. I don't know. I wouldn't touch that either. I would just go Ravens straight up. I think the Ravens win this game on the road and the Bengals start 0-2. So I think that's what's going to happen. So Ravens on the road get the W in the division. So on to the next game as the Seattle Seahawks will go to Detroit to face the home favored Lions. Lions minus 5.5, 50.5 over under. Lions minus 234 at home. Seahawks plus 191. So the Lions, I said they were going to keep it close against the Chiefs. Little did I know they were going to win by a fucking point. So that was one where the spread I got right. I said take the Lions plus 4, but the game itself, I said the Chiefs would win. So that's how these things work. Like I picked that game right with the spread, wrong with the fucking, in reality, with the money line, I guess. This game, though, I like the Lions. I think the Lions win. I think the Lions cover the 5.5. I do not know about the over-under of 50.5. That's a lot. I would actually think under here. I'm going to say the under hits for 50.5. I think the under hits here. I do think the Lions win by a touchdown or more. I like the Lions. I think the Seahawks came out very flat and messy, as I predicted, and they did not look good at all, man, especially in the second half. I don't think they scored a point in the second half. So definitely a lot to prove for them, but this is a tough road matchup for the Seattle Seahawks. I know the Seahawks did defeat Detroit last year when Detroit was on their 1-7 skid, and then opposed to, of course, the end winning, like, I think, what was it, 8 of their – yeah, I think they won 8 of their last 9, Detroit. I don't think that happens this year. I think the Detroit Lions start 2-0. I initially thought they were going to lose last week and start 1-1 with the win here. I do think they start 2-0 now, and I'd give the 5.5 points. Take the under 50.5. Give me Detroit at home. So I like that game for Detroit. Okay, next game here, Chargers at the Titans. Chargers minus 3. Give me Chargers all day. I don't like how the Titans coached that game at all against New Orleans. I thought they just played soft, especially in the second half. I think Ryan Tannehill looked washed. He looked done. He looked awful. He turned the ball over 3 times. They lose by 1 fucking point on the road. They abandoned the running game in the second half when Derrick Henry's your best fucking player. I know you want to get Hopkins involved. I know they're dying to get Hopkins involved, but you need a better person to throw him the ball, man, and Tannehill's not it. Tannehill is not fucking it, man. He looked horrible, and that's a winnable game, man. The New Orleans Saints did not play that well on offense for you to lose that game. You actually could have been able to field goal them to death. But, I mean, it was a really, really poor show, especially in the second half for the Tennessee Titans. In my opinion, I think the Chargers will steamroll the Titans here. I do think the Titans will have a nice day on the ground. I think Derrick Henry could very well score 2 touchdowns in this game and run it for over $1. I definitely see him running for over 100 yards. If there's player props, take Derrick Henry, score 2 touchdowns, and run for over 100 yards. I don't know what you'd get for that because the Chargers' rush defense last week, I mean, horrible. And just their defense in general. I mean, the amount of yards they go up to Tyreek Hill and, just some of the fucking worst shit you've seen, man. So is the Dolphins. The Dolphins didn't play much better defense either. But and they played even worse rush defense. But I personally like the Chargers here. I think the Chargers win by 4 or more. I give the Titans their fucking 3 points at home, and I think the Chargers win this game. So give me the Chargers there. The only thing that could hurt Derrick Henry's chances of running for a lot is if they're down a lot early, they'll definitely have to abandon the run. So, I mean, that is what it is. But I think the Chargers get an easy win. I think they rebound from that fucking disastrous loss at home opener against Tua turned the ball over and the Dolphins, who balled out, which was absolutely wild. But that was definitely the pick I was most wrong about. I thought the Chargers were going to roll them, and that ended up being like game of the week, in my opinion. Next game, Bears at the Bucks. The Bears, of course, I picked them to beat the Cheeseheads in Soldier Field. Of course, the Bears did not show up. They lost 38-20. They got fucking brutally run over here. And the Bucks got the road win week 1 in Minnesota by a field goal over the Vikings, who were favored by almost a touchdown, or I think maybe even 6. I'm not sure. But the Bucks, this is their home opener, Bucks minus 3. I'm shocked to say this, but I think the Bucks are going to start 2-0. I'm very surprised to say this. I thought, from what I saw from Mayfield, he played good enough. I thought the defense played good enough. I know Jefferson's a handful, but they kept him out of the end zone. Jordan Addison in Minnesota, he scored a touchdown for me in fantasy. That's always good. But this game right here, I like the Bucks, and I would give the 3. I think the Bucks win this game at home. I would give the 3 points, 43.5 over under. That I don't know. I wouldn't touch that either. If I had to, I'd say over. I think the over hits there, but I definitely would take Bucks, and I would give the points. I'd give the 3 points to the Bears. I like the Bucks this week. So next game here, Chiefs at the Jaguars. This is going to be a very, very important game. A lot of people are, thinking these two teams are going to win their divisions. I definitely do think both these teams do win their divisions. I know the Chiefs started a little bit ugly. Kadarius Toney had a really bad second half. I think they were like, 2 for 12 to wide receivers in the second half, and none of it was Mahomes' fault. I mean, a lot of them were just straight up drops. Their receiver core looked quite bad. I mean, they really did look quite bad. I know a lot of people made fun of Juju Smith-Schuster, but I'll take Juju Smith-Schuster over fucking Kadarius Toney. I'll take fucking Juju Smith-Schuster over fucking Sky Moore. I'll take Juju Smith-Schuster over hardly anybody they had on that field. And if you want to throw stones. But I definitely think he's a better, more accomplished wide receiver, a professional wide receiver than fucking Kadarius Toney. They have serious issues at the wide receiver position. And if Kelsey's not active again, I could see them definitely struggling to win this game. However, Chiefs-Jags, I think this is an interesting game. I definitely think a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh, take the Jags. I hear you. I don't see the Chiefs starting 0-2. Patrick Mahomes, I don't believe had ever lost a game in September until this past week. So that's probably surprising, but I like the Chiefs on the road here. Do I give the 2? Yeah, I would give the 2.5. Give me the Chiefs. Give the 2.5. I take the over, and I think that the Chiefs win this game. I think the Jaguars got their win week 1 against a division rival. I think they take a step down here in the home opener. I like the Chiefs to rebound. Give me the Chiefs and give the 2.5 points. Next matchup, the Colts take on the Texans. Both these teams, of course, disappointed in their openers. The Colts were actually in their game. The Colts were actually, I think, had a fourth quarter lead in Jacksonville, which was something, again, I said that was going to be close. And then, of course, they just blew it late. Texans were never really in it. They tried to field goal them to death, didn't score any touchdowns. The quarterback did look bad. D'Amico Ryan made some questionable head coaching. I mean, I don't know. I definitely think the Texans looked a little bit rusty. However, Texans are -1.5 at home here against the Colts. That is a very interesting fucking line here. I don't know. I mean, they're basically begging you to take the Texans. The over-under's 40, Colts +103, Texans -123. You know what? Fuck it. They're begging me to take them. I'll take them. I'll take the Texans. Give me the Texans -1.5 at home. And yeah, I would take the Texans here. You know what? We'll go with the favorite there because I don't know. I think both those teams are fucking horrible. So it's really just a fucking coin flip. So I'll take the home team in the battle of two shitty teams, even though I think the Colts did look better. 49ers at the Rams, their next game. 49ers -7, a 42-point over-under. 49ers -292, Rams +234. I like the Niners here. I think the Rams impressed last week, and I think they showed up, and I do think this is a close game. In fact, I actually think the Rams could cover the -7. The Rams +7 sounds sexy, especially, I mean, granted, the 49ers ran over the Steelers. I mean, they embarrassed us. They humiliated us. And I was impressed. I was actually really shocked. But I also think as impressive as they were and as much credit as I give them, I think we came out flat. We played ugly. And I definitely think we lost that game more so than they won. They executed on every level of the game. Don't get me wrong. I know there probably a lot of 49ers fans being like, oh, this motherfucker doesn't want to give us credit. I give you all the credit in the world. I think you're arguably one of the best, if not the best coached football team. I love Shanahan. But I just think this game right here, I think McVay is a damn good coach too. It would be hard to beat them by 7 or more. I say the Niners win this game, but I'm going to take the Rams getting 7 here with the spread. I think the Rams at home getting a touchdown cover. I do think they cover. I think the Niners win the game, but give me the Rams +7 in the spread if I'm taking the spread. So this is one where, again, I'll be right or wrong. Like, I could be right on both. If they're fucking, the Niners win by 6, I'm right on both. But, that's why it's hard to pick with spread or against spread or whatever the fuck. But, yeah, give me Niners money line. Give me Rams +7. I think the Rams will cover the 7 at home. Giants at the Cardinals next game. The Giants got humiliated. Speaking of humiliation, Giants got humiliated at home, of course, against Dallas, 40-0. One of their most ugly losses in franchise history, of course, to a division rival, of course, at home. I mean, just the worst type of home opener, even worse than the Steelers. I mean, at least the Steelers scored a touchdown in their home opener. At least the, Steelers did something scoring-wise. I mean, the Giants just had the most miserable night they've had in a long time, and the Dallas Cowboys just stomped all over them. As far as this game, though, give me the Giants to bounce back here on the road in Arizona. This is the team everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to play Arizona because Arizona is horrible. Granted, they showed their own, and they covered in Washington last week. So their home opener here, the Giants are getting 5.5, giving 5.5. I would give the 5.5. Giants will win by 10 or more. I think the Giants roll this game over. 37.5 is the over-under. Again, this is tricky because last time I said they don't expect the Cardinals to score much. So I don't know about this over-under. Again, that is a fucking trick. They're begging you to take the over. But the Cardinals, what did they score? 16 points. So, I mean, they didn't, I think they, what, it was 20 to 16. So that's 36. So I do think the Giants win, though, by 10 here. I'm going to say, like, I could easily see 20 to 10 being the final score. I could easily see 24-14, and in that case, the over would hit. So, 24-14. So I would say maybe the over hit. So, Giants minus 5.5, definitely. I think the Giants win by 10 or more, and I would say, I guess, take the over, but it is a trap. It's 100% a trap. I know it. I could see the under hitting too. So, definitely be weary of that over-under if you're thinking about it. Next game, Jets at the Cowboys. Cowboys look dominant week one. The Jets, of course, the sad story of the week, where even in victory, there was defeat, where Aaron Rodgers, of course, tore his Achilles 4 plays into the fucking game, and you could literally hear New York gasp collectively. I know because I'm here, and, excuse me, I felt terrible. I felt so bad. I mean, I have so many friends that are diehard Jets guys. My own dad is a diehard Jets guy, so I felt terrible for them. That sucks. And I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers personal fan. Like, I don't like the guy personally all that much. He's a great quarterback, 4-time MVP. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer, unanimous Hall of Famer. But, I mean, the guy, I'm not a big fan of. But I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. I felt terrible for him. Dallas looked dominant. This is Dallas' home opener. Give me Dallas. I like Dallas here. I give the Jets the 3 points. I'm not afraid of Zach Wilson. I think if they could fucking stop Breece Hall, who's basically running on 1.5 legs right now, and even with that, had an insane night on Monday Night Football. I mean, if he's healthy, he takes that 90-plus yarder to the house. That's how good Breece Hall is. Even on 1.5 legs, he's one of the best running backs in the fucking league. Dalvin looked all right. I mean, Dalvin didn't look great. Dalvin definitely was showing a little bit of his fucking age and tenureship. But, yeah, that's it, man. They're going to split the carries between Hall and him until Hall is probably 100%, and they can give a little bit more of the workload to Hall. But for now, Dallas, give me Dallas all fucking day. -3, over under 45.5. Don't touch the fucking over-under there. Don't touch it. But just take Dallas, take the fucking spread, give the Jets 3 points, and I think you're going to be paid handsomely. So on to the next game, as the Commanders will travel to Denver to face the Broncos. Commanders got an ugly Week 1 win at home against a team they really should have beat by more than 4 points. But style points don't matter. A win is a win, and they'll travel to face the Broncos, who, of course, opened at home and lost and looked like the same exact team as they were last year. I think Courtland Sutton showed some promise. Sutton showed some improvement, but they basically look the same. If you hadn't told me that Sean Payton was the new head coach there, I never would have fucking told the difference. It looked just like Nathaniel Hackett's team. They did not show any type of improvement or impressiveness, and you know what? I mean, that's a big fucking problem. That's a really big problem. Broncos are giving 3.5 here to the Commanders. I take the 3.5, and I take the Commanders straight up. Fuck Denver. You fucking played like dog shit. Figure it out. I'm off of this game. You fucking assholes. You bring in this guy that, I'm going to change the whole fucking thing. You scored 16 points against the Raiders. You stink. Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, I don't know what you're cooking, but it smells like dog shit. Get the fuck out of here. How the fuck? Horrendous. If I'm a Denver fan, I'm pissed. I'm like, you can't beat this fucking team, the Raiders. The Raiders are in sole possession in first place after a week. Are you fucking kidding me? I think Denver is just so disappointing, man. They have the talent. They just cannot get in the fucking end zone to save their lives. It's sick. It's really fucking sick. I'm at the point where if I'm Denver, I would hire somebody from the fucking Canadian Football League to try to throw some kind of monkey wrench just to break fucking Pater. But, man, y'all look like a bunch of fucking assholes out there. Next game. Sorry, I can't. I'm just too passionate. Dolphins at the Patriots. I fucking hate the Dolphins. And, of course, Tua turned the ball over, would ball out after I buried him on the past episode for 466 yards. And Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards. Jalen Waddle, of course, catching his classic 3-yard slant and running 70 yards with them. I mean, that's classic them. It's just, and the Chargers played soft defense. Really soft defense. With that being said here, Dolphins at the Patriots. Dolphins are -2. I do think this is a tough game, man. The Dolphins should really beat this team, but last year went into New England and lost. And I don't know. Dolphins are road favorites here, giving the Patriots 2. This is a tough. I don't know. I don't like this game at all. I'm going to take the Patriots. I think the Patriots, I'll take the 2 points. Hell, I'd buy it up to even 3. Buy it up to a point. Give it to 3. I think the Patriots are not going to lose their first 2 at home. I think the Patriots suck too, and I think their roster's weak. But I think the Patriots get the tough division win at home here against Tua turn the ball over. So, yeah, give me the Pats. Give me the points. Give me the under to hit here. So 45.5 is the under. I take the under there. Monday night doubleheader. Last 2 games of the week as the Saints will visit the Panthers. Of course, the Saints started 1-0. The Panthers, an ugly 0-1. And I think that continues. I think the New Orleans Super Saints will go 2-0 here. I would give the 3 points here. I know it's a division game. I know that I could see the Panthers totally covering. But I think the Saints are going to have a little bit better of a week here. I think the Saints go over here on Monday night. I give the 3, 40.5 over under. Again, I take the under. I don't think either one of these offenses looked very good last week. The Saints scored 16. The Panthers scored 10. So that was 26 points. And it's an over under of 40.5. Definitely take the under there. I like that bet. I like the Saints, and I like giving a field goal to the Panthers. I would probably even give more, but it is a division game, so you have to be careful. On to the main event of the week, of course, as the Cleveland Brownies, who steamrolled the Cincinnati Bengals, as I said they would, will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, my Pittsburgh Steelers, who got steamrolled by the 49ers, unlike how I said last week. Brownies are road favorites giving 1 point. The over-under is 42.5, and the Browns minus 18 money line. Steelers minus 102, so the money line's kind of close. As is the spread. I mean, minus 1 is basically a pick 'em. Wow. We got embarrassed. The Steelers got absolutely fucking embarrassed. Kenny looked bad in the first half. He made some really poor throws. The interception to the throw to Johnson was not his fault. Johnson slipped. I mean, it's classic Deontay Dropson. That's what I call him sometimes. He's also injured for a few weeks. Cam Hayward got injured. Najee Harris got shaken up on a play. I mean, Pat Freiermuth got hurt. I mean, a lot of Steelers ended up getting banged up. I mean, you had Allen Robinson catching passes and Kevin Austin and fucking, Pickens had an okay day, but definitely not the Pittsburgh Steelers football that we had watched throughout the preseason and had expected them to show up really big week 1. I know a lot of people are going to pick the Browns, and a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh, the Browns are 1-0, the Steelers are 0-1, Steelers are always starting slow. There is no fucking chance the Steelers start 0-2 and lose their first 2 at home in a season where I do think they're going to win a wild card berth. I think it starts here. I think they whoop the Cleveland Brownies candy asses all over Pittsburgh, PA. Give me the Steelers. Give me the fucking Steelers, and I would absolutely take the free point. But I don't know how these maybe somebody could explain this to me, how alternate spreads work. I would love to fucking give the Browns points. Like, I would love to do that and see what my payout would be. I think you can do that. I'm sure you could do that. I just don't know how it works. My friend JP, he's a master at this stuff, and Dan, like they know that shit. So maybe if they watch this, they could tell me. I have no idea. But I would say the Steelers, and I think the Steelers win by 3 or more at home. I like the Steelers to bounce back here. We're banged up. We're definitely on the ropes. And if we start 0-2, we're in deep, deep, deep bleep, because then we got to go on the road in Vegas, in Houston. Granted, 2 very winnable games, especially the Houston game. I think that's a lock that the Steelers win that. But you got to win one of your first 2 at home. Otherwise, you're in deep fucking trouble. So give me the Steelers. I would even give the Browns 3 points. I don't know how that works again. So I guess for now, take the point with the Steelers. Take the Steelers. And as far as, what is the over-under one more time? 42.5. Take the under 42.5 there. So, all right, that is my week 2 NFL picks. This was a very fun video to record. I want to thank everybody who supported this so far. And I know, like I said, I'm going through a lot of shit right now, so I definitely am trying to do this every week. If there's weeks where I miss it, I miss it. It happens. I'm definitely going to try to start getting guests on here, though. I have a couple people that I definitely want to join, that do want to join. And I think live with another guest will be longer. Like, they'll definitely probably go an hour, because I'm going 29, 30 minutes up by myself. So, I mean, it is what it is. But just everybody, appreciate the support, appreciate the, comments. If you guys agree with my picks, disagree with my picks, you can comment down below, let me know. But that is my week 2 NFL picks only on the Gridiron. 2 sweet peas, and we'll catch you next time.